Nick. It's my pleasure to be here today. I want to talk to you today about something I'm really passionate about, and that's this thing of prayer in the Christian walk. So ask the Lord for guidance in your prayer time, details of whom you should share the gospel with today. So I want to discuss three components, if we will, of this process here. So one is the will of God, one is desires, and the last one is trust or faith. Things we talk about often. But number one, I just want to pray in the will of God. So what is God's will for you? I mean, that's probably the question that everybody asks. And that's a lot of different areas, a lot of different callings, but one specific thing that every believer has is this idea of it's God's will that none should perish, that all should come to saving faith. And so the first and foremost, we want to know that we're praying in the will of God. In Timothy, it also says that Jesus was given as a ransom for all. So here we know that it is God's will to pray for somebody to share the gospel with. Second thing is this thing of desires. James tells us in his letter that you don't ask because you do not have because you do not ask. But he also says you ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. So there might be times when we're praying for a spouse or a friend or a family member, but we might be asking in the wrong motive. So instead of asking it that they become free, that they have salvation, we're asking because our life might be better, or we're asking to fill our church pews with more people to bring in more revenue. So you see the difference. We're asking a good thing, but we're asking in wrong motives. So as you're praying, asking the Lord for someone, details, someone whom you can share the gospel with, make sure that you're in this right attitude, that your passions aren't going this way, that we're in the will of God and that our passions are aligned. So I just want to spend most of the time here in Psalm 37. We've all probably heard this. It says here in verse 4, it says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him." So here's this concept, right, of delighting in the Lord, and he will give us the desires of our heart. But I want to maybe look a little bit different way here, that as we delight in the Lord, that we actually have to put ourselves in a place of delighting in the Lord. He won't do that for us. Then the second part says, and he will give you the desires of your heart. But I want you to catch that word give. So what if instead of our desires being answered as we delight in the Lord, what if the Lord actually gives us better desires, or he redeems the desires that we have to fit into his will? Okay, so recap. As we're praying, asking the Lord for someone whom we can share the gospel with, we know that it's within the will of God to ask for this thing, okay? Then once we decide that, we want to make sure that we're in a proper motive, or our passions are in the way that fits into that will. And as we delight in the Lord, I believe that as we do that, God will give us the desire of that heart, because he gives us a new heart, right? He gives us a clean heart. And then the last thing I want to catch here is to actually believe when you pray. It was E.M. Bounds who said this, that trust looks to receive the thing asked for and gets it. Okay, it's not necessarily a belief that God can bless or that God will bless, but that he does bless here and now. So as you ask, as you begin to pray and asking God for a name, a person, even a place to go to, believe that he's going to give you the answer. Why? Because it's the will of God. Because it's his desire that people would come into the kingdom. And then we can go to Acts 9 and 10, where Paul and Ananias and Peter and Cornelius are very specific on what they receive. It says to Ananias that you go to this very specific street. There will be Paul. I've told Paul to wait for you. And then again, Cornelius is given very specific directions. So as you pray, be ready to get a specific name. In fact, as you're going through this video, you might actually have a name pop up right now, or a face pop up right now that God is saying, this is exactly who I want you to go share the gospel with today. All right, bless you, and just pray and believe and trust.